think as an industry, I generally stand on what's best for the homeowner. Um, and so roofing is one where you you have to help the homeowner go against the insurance company. So I kind of like it morally, like selling a roofing product.
Sure.
Solar similar, you're helping the homeowner against the electric company.
Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Welcome. So here's the problem, Mr. Locke. Are we dealing with some sort of beautiful mind thing right there? You got stuff written on your window back there. We got
it's a mad scientist's office.
Exactly. We got Mr. Ryan Locke in the house. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great this morning.
That's good. Where are you calling us in, for lack of a better word? Where are you based out of?
Yep, we're located in Dallas, Texas.
Okay, I just left Texas not too long ago, so very familiar. Spent most of my life grew up in Houston, spent most of my life in San Antonio, Austin Hill Country. So
we're having one of those, what is it, like the Texas allergy days?
Yes.
It's rushing everyone.
Yeah, we left. Yeah, we left because my fiance was killing her. So when we were left, she was like at the emergency room the day before we left. Like it's just like it's too much. Yeah.
I'm glad it's not that bad, but that sounds terrible. Yeah, I would move.
So I only go up to your area because my buddy lives in Frisco. I tell everybody that Frisco is the best planned family city I've ever seen, next to Franklin, Tennessee. I think it's like 1A, 1-2, like just really great stuff. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your history, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I own a roofing and solar company. I got into this. I was an independent consultant for a bunch of roofing companies, helping them open up their solar division. And I met the company Simplicity while doing that. And of my clients that I was working with, a lot of them, I was having to spend almost 130% of the effort to get them to get 70% of the results. And my business partner, Alex, I'd give him, just a brief phone call of like 70% of all of the answers, and then he would take it and get 130% results. He would just ask a couple questions about a call center, how it started. I gave him a little bit of the background and experience I've had doing that, and he would go and take it and then bring things back to me that he learned about call centers on his own that he's then implemented already. And so then when I started to see that track record, Alex and I got to talking, and then we ended up making a partnership. And we've been on this for now about 1.5 years. And then in the last 1.5 years, we've grown from just having a couple guys making calls in an office to a sales team of almost 70, 80 people, ops team about 12, and then 12 overseas ops, like support team. And then a whole bunch of installation crews as well. So we've grown it a lot in just the last 1.5 years.
So the installation crews, those are yours too, or they're subcontracted out?
They are subcontracted, but then we're their entire volume basically. They might get a side job, but we're their livelihood. So we make sure.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, I just want to make sure. So you're basically creating the lead flow, selling the lead, then doing the work on both roofing and solar, correct?
Yep.
But technically, nobody actually works directly for you on the roofing side, but you do business with the same crews.
Yes. Yeah. We don't want to in-house the crews right now. We're kind of using our call center, and the biggest thing about call centers is that the data needs to refresh. And so we're needing to bounce our volume around the state of Texas based on where we can call. And otherwise we're going to run out of data in certain markets. So in-housing and salarying crews and holding that on and like needing to hit a consistent certain volume per market. We're not quite there yet to in-house crews, but it's something we're looking at next year.
How many markets do you serve currently?
All over Texas. We have a Corpus team, Houston team, Dallas team, and then Midland, Odessa.
And so, I mean, it makes sense to go solar and, roofing, right? But let's unpack solar for a minute. It's such a unique. Listen, we do a lot of work for the state, so when you're trying to get funds for rebates, and there's, it's still a new thing. It's like a very interesting thing, and it changes so rapidly. What would you say are the top two misnomers, or like things that people don't understand about solar?
The first one I would say, they think it's a big upfront cost. It's kind of weird. Paying cash for a solar system makes less sense than financing it. Financing a solar system, you're cash flow positive for day one, or else the system doesn't make sense. Versus a cash system, like it might take 7-8 years before you're cash positive. So I would say that's the first one, is that it's big upfront investment. And then the second one, it doesn't make sense for everybody. I'm kind of the sales rep where I'm more of like, I'm going in and I'm finding all the reasons it wouldn't make sense for a homeowner first. And then once I kind of disqualify them, if they make it through that, I'm making sure that, or I'm then going into how they can actually benefit. So the first things are the tax credit. If they don't make a certain amount of income, then they're not going to qualify for the tax credit. A lot of people go around and they say it's a tax rebate just to try to win the sales. And that's kind of the ugliness of my industry, is we're not very heavily regulated. It's a lot of like the Wild West. And so any 18-year-old kid can technically become a solar rep and sign somebody up for a $120,000 loan. And that's, yeah. That felt heavy, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, I was in Airbnb when Airbnb wasn't Airbnb, and it felt pretty similar.
Yeah. There's so much money. Everyone's making hand over fist. The government throwing all these incentives, financing involved. It's easy to make things look good, but then not actually know what you're selling the homeowner and if it's going to be a beneficial product for them long term.
And I only know this because it just happened. My parents go between Houston and Palm Springs, and their summer Palm Springs bill with nobody in the house was north of 500 to 600.
Wow.
And now they're getting money back because they went solar.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, right? Especially in climates like that. It's really a no-brainer. But the reason I asked was we're starting to build out the electric division of our company more and more. And I'm just thinking that, in my opinion, on our HVAC, plumbing, electric, I'm thinking if you look at the incentives and what the government's pushing and EV cars and all these things, I think it's one of those forgotten about trades, but also forgotten about understanding. And I think it's going to explode over the next 20 to 30 years, personally.
Yep. It's really interesting to compare other countries and their solar markets to the United States, because a lot of countries were ahead of us. And so Australia, for example, they have so much solar that it's almost too much solar. There's certain days where their power prices go negative because there's just so much solar power on the grid. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We're not there in the United States yet, but a lot of macro policies are coming down the pipeline that could lead us to it's a good world where if the power prices go negative, right? It's better for consumption. So
1,000%. And then because your life wasn't crazy enough, you said, well, we're going to do roofing, which if you want to classify a sector of as the Wild West, I don't think roofing's ever changed or not changed. I think it will forever be classified as the Wild West. It's an interesting. My buddy does it down in Beaumont. I have another buddy in Dallas that's pretty big. The insurance, there's so much to unpack there. So same question, but roofing, what's the two kind of misnomers?
I think as an industry, I generally stand on what's best for the homeowner. And so roofing is one where you have to help the homeowner go against the insurance company. So I kind of like it morally, like selling a roofing product.
Sure.
solar similar. You're helping the homeowner against the electric company. So I would say in roofing, the biggest thing is that people see the roofer as somebody just chasing a commission check. But it's really like, no, we're experts in helping you guys get the most from your insurance company for that policy you're already paying for. If you're not having your roofer help maximize your claim for you, then you're just leaving money on the table that you've already been paying for from the insurance company. So roofers aren't just chasing a commission check. They are there for your best interest, at least the good ones. And then the next one I would say, mainly, I think solar and roofing together. I don't know if this necessarily falls under misnomer, but it's one of those. It's like it's best to do those at the same time. Just kind of an education point for everyone. If you do both at the same time, you can roll a lot of your out-of-pocket costs from your roof into your solar financing, and then that still qualifies under the IRA 30% tax credit for the solar, and it can give you additional tax credits on your roof as well as a upgrade for your solar system.
So one of the only things I've ever heard about, because I cut my teeth in real estate, was, maybe this was back in the day, I've been out of the game on the real estate side for a minute, but one of the big things was when somebody went to go sell a home that had solar on it. Those were some big issues. Have they alleviated those issues now?
Yes. So they moved away from doing liens and moved into doing a UCC1. So then what that allowed is that a lot of people, it was like, as far as the sales process, they now had a more safe understanding of how the home was going to transact. So the UCC1 is secured by the solar panels themselves. It's not in the equity of the home at all. And then they added transferability to a lot of their plans. So the loans or the third-party ownership allow for just direct transferability between homeowners. So now it's really just a one-page sign-off to say, hey, I'd like to take over the remainder of this.
Okay. I love that. And so listen, we talked about the two front-end things that of your business that people know about, they're more comfortable with, but we all know, being a business owner, that your call center is really the rock star of the company.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Before you got into this aspect of your business, kind of what did you understand, and then kind of what do you understand now that you've been in it a year and a half?
On the call center side, I thought a lot of it was like script. Like we all watched Wolf of Wall Street, and we all saw them hitting the phones with the scripts, and you have to like word for word and everything like that. And whenever we were testing different scripts, it ended up becoming like a negligible factor. The more important factors were data and connection rate, hit rates, all of the dialer settings that are how many phone numbers is it calling, how many agents do you have on per campaign, warming up the phone numbers. So it ended up becoming way less interesting on the sales side. And as far as when you look at the data, you're not really paying attention to that. You're more paying attention to what your dialer data looks like, and what your connections on the data are. So that'd be the one thing that I learned a lot about. And then it's a very, very high, it's an impact sport, or contact sport, high contact sport. So you got to constantly, as a manager, be just pushing your team. Versus on the ops side, there may not be as many times I have to go in and like really push the team to work harder. On the call center side, it's a hourly thing that our manager has to go and give touch points or feedback to all of the team to keep them engaged.
So just use a unique experience from my business, kind of something we've implemented that sounds, simple on context, but when you bought a business that was 100% on paper, obviously Service Titan, it's the Ferrari for the trades business. That's neither here nor there. But what we found is that when the sales guy that was going out to an estimate was able to listen to the initial call in for the booking, it gave them nuance into understanding if it was a buyer, where their urgency was, their needs. And they said that's been invaluable. And listen, I'm a pretty freewheeling guy. I'm kind of, 1,000+ podcast episodes, no questions. But what I've been surprised about the most is how much data gives you an understanding of trends, kind of understanding. I would say that that's probably the thing um, I didn't see the most. And I think when you know how to look at it, now it takes a while, but like
Oh
you
yeah.
said, when you know how to look at it, you thought it was scripts, but it's really this. Like this is the hardest thing as a business owner. We can have a down month or down 2 months, but if the data is trending in the right direction, it doesn't matter. Like that's the weirdest mental gap to get over. Have you seen that too in your business?
Yes, a lot recently too. Because if you,
Mm-hmm.
I think growing from where we were as a business, where we were just a small
Sure.
startup, where my business partner and I, like some weeks we're skipping paychecks and things like that, to now we
Mm-hmm.
have,
Mm-hmm.
like a full time, like he's basically in our office as a fractional CFO,
Mm-hmm.
telling us, hey, this is our week over week, and then it's just kind of grown up from there. But if we look at the bank account, it's like, well, the bank account went down this week. And he's like, no, 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 it's a good thing. Like we spent all the money for next week. So really the fact that it's up means we're better. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's gotten to the point where you can't just keep track of it on a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use like the bank account as your indicator, we might feel like we're down, but then he's got the real numbers to say that we're going way up.
And see, that's the hardest thing is because we, as people, humans, I mean, just personal business, we're taught to live our life off of a checkbook and a bank account.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a business, maybe somebody's not paying for 60 days, you just paid off, 400 grand worth of bills that were due, but they were due 30 days ago. There's so many different things.
It's a lot of fun, and I'm very happy to move out of the financial accounting side of the business so that I can spend more time on the ops side, because
Yes.
that's where my time should be spent instead of like keeping track of all of those. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stories about where we've had to make bridges to make it month to month sometimes, and then have the rewards of that pay off and continue to grow.
And when you're scaling a business, what does it taught you about yourself, you as a person?
I really believe that you run into the same problems in life over and over until you grow to be able to handle them. So it's one of those where they may have been things in my past where I didn't want to take accountability for, hey, this isn't my fault or something like that. And instead it's translated into, I finally hit this wall the third time or fourth time. And I'm like, okay, something has to change. And I saw it as like instead of an attack on myself, like an opportunity to grow and see the next person, like the next version of myself. One example would be with like delegation. I always thought that, oh yeah, I'm a good manager, like people like me and things like that. But I was having a real difficulty growing past our certain size on our ops team because I wouldn't really delegate anything. They might do some of they'd fill out the paperwork and then it'd have to be like reviewed by me. Everything in the company was like, oh, reviewed by me, reviewed by me. And I was putting myself as a blocker into everything, which took too much of my time away. And so that effectively delegating didn't really happen. I didn't enable leadership as well. So then whenever we were trying to grow to the next stage, like we needed to hit a new fulfillment number, like we couldn't because I was at my capacity already. And then, it didn't allow other people in the organization to grow. I was keeping the whole organization down. And so I had to like learn a lot about effectively delegating, inspiring leadership. One of the transition, just if anyone wanted to know how I did it, one of the transition tools I used was instead of them just bringing me a problem, how it used to be, I would have them do the 1-3-1. I think it was Simon Sinek that brought that, or it was it was one of the thought leaders in the business world. That essentially they'd write down the problem. I even would give them a template of the parameters for how I would approach their problem. So here's all the data points that I would need to be able to make a decision. I'd have them write out a couple of different ideas on how to solve the problem, as well as who it impacted and how it impacted them. So the customer, the homeowner, or the customer, our sales rep, or the company generally was like the framework. and then I had them make a recommendation. And so then it gave them like a one step further of the process of making the full decision. And then after a few times of me just saying yes, they now feel confident that, hey, I know how to handle these. And if it's not this big of a problem, I can handle this without going to Ryan, which has allowed our leaders to grow and grow more. So that's a new thing for me that I'm working on still.
It's huge. I have a rule. It's not a complicated rule. It's very simple. If it doesn't get to me, you can handle it. Yeah. If it gets to me, I'm handling it. You're out of the picture. Yeah. So meaning if a customer or a 1-star review or something gets to me, I'm going to handle it till it's done. Mm-hmm. If you can catch it before it gets to me, then you can have it. And so it's worked very well. One of the other things is I asked them when we leave a meeting, especially my upper management, my trainings that are GMs, I said, what do you think actually took place there? And they're like, well, this. And I'm like, no. Yeah, but look at back here, all the things that they were thinking, they were feeling, and that's kind of the next step. I love that 1v1 thing. That's so hard. Here's the problem, though.
Okay.
And this is for me and you. It's not for anybody else. Yeah. And this is the joke between me and one of my business partners. We've waited our entire life to build a lifestyle business of scale to have people manage things for us. And the moment that we do, now we feel useless.
Yes.
And so now we're like, I wanted this my whole life, and my team's crushing it. And I watched all my team, my different guys running meetings this morning, and I was so proud. And then I was like, all right, like what do I do today? And then
what am I going to insert myself in?
Yeah. So it's like I just have to keep my own. I find that a lot of owners, they get their own shiny object syndrome tossed on the business instead of just leaving it alone. Just let it do its thing. Let your team grow. And then so one of the things I do, and I got it from books, but just in general, is I'll leave for 2-3 weeks. And it's one of those things where as a business owner, if you're so addicted to your business, go out of the country. I'm dead serious. Because I mean, am what I'm saying is resonating with you?
Oh yeah. I know exactly. I'll just try to this happened literally just 2 weeks ago. We have a phenomenal roofing production manager who can more than he's been in the business 16 years. He can more than handle ordering materials and scheduling a crew. But we had a solar sales rep who was trying to get a roof bundled into her solar deal. And I am not nearly as much of an expert as he is. So there's probably a bunch of things that I'm not thinking of that he would think of. And I was trying to help the solar sales rep with the roofing deal. And normally our roofing process is so smooth. It's just, submit, get color picked out, and then boom, ordered, done. Somehow I made this so complicated, trying to work through this. I was using this platform wrong and this platform wrong. And I just need to leave my hands up because it was going to work by itself if I just didn't insert myself.
And it's especially in my trade, right? Especially where these guys come from, kind of more of an old school kind of style. I showed up at a job site on Friday that the plumbers and the HVAC guys were working at because it was right next to my meeting. You might as well thought all hell broke loose. They were like, what do we do? Why are you here? And I'm like, I'm just here to take pictures. And I realized that's just what they're used to is okay, you're only here because of bad things. No, I'm here because I'm excited. This is a big job. I'm taking pictures because I do the social media. And so it's just so you don't get offended as an owner. Just understand that that's what they're used to. Most of the time the owners are stuck in the office, with the door closed.
Very much so. Yeah.
So but I will tell them, I said, I will announce next time when I'm coming out to the thing, give you a little, but what I did is I went around the corner and got behind an oak tree and took a picture of them. And I was like,
okay,
see,
so
I'm
keeping. Maybe this might have been.
No. That was afterwards. It was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. No, it was a joke because they were laughing. They said, "Oh, you Ace Ventura, you're investigating us." as you continue to scale and you look towards the next year and a half, 2 years, where do you think that you and the company needs to kind of focus on to kind of take it to that next level?
We've been we were building a model originally based around recruiting top sales reps from other companies in the industry and giving them a better rep experience than they had anywhere else. And that's a positive, right? That is a market niche to try to attack. What it was driving us into, though, was the cheaper, faster, better product, which became harder and harder to fulfill and less profitable. And so instead, we're trying to now focus more on having a in-house sales model versus almost like a outside sales channel with sales entities that were just taking our leads and selling them. Building it more out as this is the simplicity way of doing things. So we're trying to build out the process for our Dallas office specifically, because that's where me and my business partner are based and can have the most impact. So we want to really drive a sales process there and drive how to build out a regional manager and build out an office and build out a team, and then promote up and out. So take somebody that's a high performer that's going to all of our meetings, that puts in about 6 to 8 months, and then promote them to be a leader of another office and move them out there and then help add to our regional footprint. That's what I think is going to be most important, is establishing our culture, I guess, is the effective answer for the sales side. And then on the ops side, it's going to be, I'd say mostly cash flow management, growing to that next level, because we're currently doing about 1.5 million in solar and about 500 to $1 million in roofing per month. And we're trying to 4x solar and 2x roofing. So a lot of it is just going to be that balance of both businesses basically running in parallel, might have different cash needs at different points, and accurately forecasting that so that we don't put ourselves into any types of cash crunch. So
I'm sure you have y'all looked into teaming up with larger HVAC, plumbing, electric companies as a referral source for them, since you're already dealing with the homeowner?
I mean, we'd love to. Where I learned a lot of this from, the former company I worked at, they started doing HVAC cleanings on every one of their jobs. I think it's definitely possible to do a strong partnership between HVAC and solar. It'd be something that we are open to as a plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think go ahead.
I was going to say this might be a good question for you on your thoughts. My business partner likes the idea of buying an HVAC company because both of our sales are one-time customer, one-time revenue. And we don't really I don't know if there is like a smart way to add to the LTV of a customer. But HVAC was one that he really liked. The only thing about it is just the regionality. Like, you have to do a full team and full build out for an HVAC company in every single market.
I don't think that you do that out the gate, but I also don't know if it's something that you ever get to. And what I mean by that is, like, there's a buddy of mine who lives in Dallas. They do about 30 million in foundation repair. So it was in Austin, Dallas, San Antonio. So it was an easy avenue for them to do plumbing, right? But they only have plumbing in Dallas now. So he's looking to buy in San Antonio. So it's a thing. The way I look at everything is it's a who. It's a who. Yeah. Like, who's your 35-year-old young guy that knows HVAC, that wants to grow, that wants to lead? When you find that guy, then you just, boom, you go. The reason I like the HVAC part for y'all is on the maintenance contract side for the HVAC. That's where you could get additional roofing customers and vice versa.
Yeah.
Right? It's a trust thing. If I like you, know you, trust you, that's why it's a no-brainer for us to do all the trades, because you don't have to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
I like it. But here's a tip for y'all. I wouldn't look in Dallas. I would look in the tertiary markets of the suburbs find you an
Mm.
HVAC company out there, and then grow where they're not dumping the dollars in.
Mm-hmm.
So like, where's the next, 9 neighborhoods going to be? Because here's the problem with HVAC, especially in Texas, right? This is unlike us. And most of the homes in our area are 1800s, 1900s, right? Not in a lot of new homes, right? I know, blows you away.
Yeah.
But you're going to want to, God, I'm giving away all my tips. Don't you listen, everybody. So you want to be in a market where the homes are 8 to 7 years old, because in 2 years, they're going to have to change out their furnace. So it's a delicate dance. But I think too many people, if you look at Nashville and Kansas City, there's 9 to 10 private equity companies dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in keywords. All right. In my market, I'm 40% on the SEO. The next closest competitor is 0.006. Guys, I don't have to spend a ton to generate, right? But when you're going into an Austin, a Dallas, or Houston, it's a bloodbath. It's a bloodbath. So in my opinion, it's like, go to a Denton, go to a Kaufman, go to a Greenville, go to a Tyler, go do Tyler. Like, my buddy manages 250 agents in Tyler for Keller Williams. Like, go do his HVAC, and like, boom, you're done. And then you build up a big enough brand, and then you throw it into Dallas.
I really like the idea of HVAC, especially for it's a lower ticket to bring the customers into our funnel, and then let our inside virtual sales team cross-sell them.
And I don't even think you need to start there.
Right.
Spend $10,000 and start with duct cleaning.
Duct cleaning. So
Duct
get one
cleaning.
of those machines.
Low keyword. Start with duct cleaning. Get that. Get that. There's your people, and then boom. Then you add on HVAC a year or two from down the road.
Yeah, the biggest thing is going to be finding that 35-year-old that wants to be a president of a division, essentially.
Well, that's super easy. So you go to a bigger company, and you find the third or fourth in charge, and then you take him.
Okay.
Because he knows how far he's going to have to go. Look, it's a perfect example. When I bought it, the 2 plumbers were retiring. We had 12 HVAC guys, and we had a plumber we moved in from Delaware. All the new guys, I said, guys, how long is it going to take you to get in an HVAC van? They go 2 to 3 years. I said, how long is it going to take you to get in a plumbing van? They said 3 weeks, a month. I said, what are you going to pay? So, I mean, it's like, how long, number 3 or 4 or 5, is that going to take you to become 2 or 3? Or you could just become 1 over here. And if you do what you say you're going to do for a year, then we'll give you some equity.
That seems to be a good idea.
It's my specialty. So it's how we went from 18 employees to 50 in about a year and a half. So I hired them all myself because most of the time, and I hate to broad jump everybody, but it's the truth. Most of the time, people are at a job where their bosses aren't doing moral shit. I'm just being honest. They stay for, because they got to feed the family. So if you're presenting a job where they can do the right thing by people and make money, you're going to win every time.
I guess it's like a weird frame for me, because it's like, I couldn't imagine like I view my job as giving like my employees like great jobs where they feel like they get to make decisions and do things and feel involved in their work, and they aren't just.
I could tell you stories that would melt your brain.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's so bad because COVID made people lazy and they were needed, and they got to charge whatever they wanted to. And now, pardon my French, God, I shouldn't even say their name, but this bigger, larger group is teaching people that you got to sell, replace. I'd rather have a customer for 20 years instead of one sale. Like, and so I don't prescribe to that sleazy kind of push. Like, we're there to listen. You know the number one issue in HVAC sales? Do you know, like, meaning, like, do you know what the number one issue in people's homes is that people don't even realize? They have the wrong size unit.
Yes, that makes sense.
They have the wrong size unit. It doesn't mean that the unit's not working well. It's not sized for your house. Why are they doing that? Because they're trying to sell you something that you don't need instead of actually listening to you.
Yep, that makes sense.
And so just do the right thing.
Yeah. like I like to think I'm a smart enough guy, but I really do not understand why there's two different numbers that can move on an HVAC. So the tons and then the SEER rating. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't really understand how those two work together. How you
It's
can
yeah, it's for a podcast for another day. But then the problem is you're getting into ductwork, right? Then you're getting into the heat pump. So the thing is that the technology coming down the pipe would blow people away with what's coming down the pipe. It's super exciting, but that's why I get excited about solar and I get excited about like roofing, because there's so much stuff that's on the table, and the more they listen, nobody wants to do work for the state. Okay. I'm just being honest. Sometimes they're hard to deal with, but we figured out how to do business with them, and we've done 175 projects, during, most of it during the winter months. If you just breathe, if you're a business owner, breathe for 2 seconds, have them explain it to you like you're two, and then go, okay, who do I deal with? Who do I deal with on the regular basis? Because what I love about the people that we deal with is it's different departments within the state that aren't attached to the state, but they do, is that these people care about the customers they're serving, so they're willing to go above and beyond. Find those people, you're good to go.
Yeah, the state work would be really, really cool.
So there's a program in Pennsylvania currently that they will train and put up in hotels all your guys to learn solar, because it's so needed. It's a big thing, right? Now, I don't know how that goes because it's cloudy here all the time and all that stuff like that. But there's so many different things when you just like ask questions and figure out. There's a lot of grant programs, and so there's so much stuff.
The REAP grant.
So, yeah, all that stuff. It's just crazy, man. Because I went down to the Capitol myself and like talked to them. So it's just you just have to ask questions. So if people want to find you, they want to track you down, how would they do that?
So we have my Instagram is simplicity.ryan, and then on X it's the SLR guy.
I love it, guys. And if you do follow me on Twitter, Mr. Locke here gave little Titus an amazing idea to market his gumball machines, if you've been following that story. So we really appreciate him for that. That little rugrat took me for some money last week, so that's all right. But it's happy to do it. So he's out there selling for us, so I really appreciate that. Hope everybody got some value from this. Share it with a friend, send it around, and we'll see you next time.